This is Michael Harrell. Michael is a fine artist who works in both oils and watercolors. And what drew me to Michael's paintings, besides his startling ability to interpret light with paint, is that one of his favorite subjects are oystermen.
Well, and I think my senior in college, senior project, I did a fictitious oystering book, a book on oystering paintings. So I did a series of like a dozen oystering paintings of a book I would do if I was going to do a book on oystering. And that began it. And then when I moved back to Tallahassee, I started going to East Point and Apalachicola just because I was interested in the oystering thing here. So I guess for the longest time, you know, maybe 10 or 12 years, that's primarily the oyster people that I did. Then I got into Gowering Hilton Head, and then they didn't really relate to the tonging of oysters. They did oystering a different way up there. So then I researched through books. I found a lot of locations where these books were going for the photographs of where the oyster people were. So then I was doing the South Carolina oyster people and the East Point oyster people. Some people would call this representational realism. I'm not really a big fan of photorealism, even though I use some photography, but I don't think mine looks particularly like a photorealistic. Some of the paintings I've seen, because you know some of those are kind of dry looking and lifeless, but I like them, you know, to know a person did them. You know, I do a lot of texture and some kind of quirky things that just, you know. I've talked to art dealers over time, and they like the fact that I was incorporating people into the environment. And then kind of the working seacoast people kind of became a theme. You know, I think it's interesting that, you know, a lot of these people have very weathered faces. You know, they're interesting people to put in paintings. And recently, I went out on the oyster boat with the son of this guy, which has carried on the family tradition of oystering. Mainly the shapes and all, I think, are one of the things that people have commented on of the oyster bars, the boats, the people, you know, doing the work. And I just always was fascinated with that. So I've kept doing it this whole time. I'll have an idea of what I want, and we'll go out and photograph, maybe take 400 or 500 photographs of a particular activity, oystering. And then from that, maybe 500, I'll do maybe 5 paintings, and I'll do, you know, a pencil drawing. I'll make some changes. You know, I probably won't do the painting for 2 or 3 days, you know, until I've got the drawing similar to what I want it to look like. Like usually it's completely dark when you go out, and just as the sun's coming up, this is what it might look like. You don't get any of the light and shadow on the person, the figure. Whereas here, just when the sun has just come up, you get these bright colors and the patterns of the shells coming out of the water, which creates an unusual pattern, which is, you know, very attractive for a painting. So I'm usually working in the studio, which is one reason for the photographs, and also the detail. You can study those and see things you didn't see in person, but I think it's important to go do the thing, you know, not just look at a photograph. I don't think that's enough to do a painting from. But I think it aids in the detail, the amount of detail that I'm doing, because most people comment on the detail, and it does help to go back and see all the stuff you might have noticed. I noticed a lot of stuff just studying photographs I never saw when I was there. I mean, I could have done this in 1 or 2 days and do a, you know, broad washes sort of thing, but I decided on this particular one, I wanted to focus in on the detail of the bucket and the oysters. Like right now I'm working on trying to make it look like that's standing out in front of these other oysters, which is a technical problem. And I'll drop in, you know, like some waves behind a lighter area to make that stand out, or you might want to lighten an area behind a dark area to make it stand out. There's a lot of juxtaposition of things going on that you might not notice, but that's what you do to make certain effects happen.
This is an ongoing thing. This isn't going away.
Yeah, I'm going to do, you know, at least the next 10, 20 years, I'm pretty sure I'll be doing it. I've got a lot more ideas I haven't used yet, and each time you go, you hire somebody, you see something you didn't see before, and I was gonna, you know, and plus the people change, Like a lot of the people that I was using, I can't find them anymore. So you'll go somewhere else and you'll find somebody else and it'll look different. I don't think any of the two looked alike so far.
So as long as oystermen keep harvesting oysters, Michael Harrell plans to keep painting them. For WFSU-TV, I'm Mike Plummer.